This gameplay video is brought to you by Brandon Drennan. A massive thank you, Brandon. Svella Ice Shaper versus Sliver Overlord, partners Tana the Bloodsower and Keleth Sunmane Familiar, and then partners again Halden Avid Arcanist and Paco Arcane Retriever. We've got a means of ramping with Arboreal Grazer and the lands, so yeah, I think we can keep there. And we are on the play, we get a card draw on turn 1, so let's get down this Arboreal Grazer. And we can put a land from hand to battlefield tapped, so we'll go for a mountain obviously. Let's throw down the 1000-Year Elixir. Nothing but lands and a Reach the Redeemed from our opponent down the middle. We're going for 1000-Year Elixir on our turn 2. Now, Mystical Tutor has been held up from the Teamer player, so they'll get to search for an instant or sorcery. They went in for a Kodama's Reach, so I wonder if they have a Sol Ring or some means of fast mana. Nope, they've just got their turn 2 sorted out in Sylvan Library. So I dare say if they don't have a land ready for the Kodama's Reach, they'll get one with the library. Impact Tremors from Tana and Keleth. Then a Quirion Ranger from the Sliver player. We get into Mana Crypt, so that's really good actually. We can go for our commander and make an ice token with it. So we'll get down the fast mana, get down the land, and we go for our commander here. Obviously has Summoning Sickness on it, but we can tap it down for the Icy Manalith token, thanks to the 1000-Year Elixir. In fact, why don't we just do that now so that we can F6. And then we'll use the Manalith to untap our commander so that we can hold it back as a blocker. Now going over to the Teamer player, they will have the Sylvan Library trigger. This deck is brought to us thanks to Brandon Drennan, by the way, mythic patron of the channel. He didn't have a list for me to play this month, so he very kindly donated his donation of a list to Billy Kills. So this deck was actually brought to us by the infamous Billy Kills. But it is thanks to Brandon that we are bringing you this deck today, so big thank you to Brandon for his mythic patronage, and a thank you to Billy Kills for building the deck as well. Kodama's Reach during all that was cast by the Teamer player, and then a treasure map has come down over here. Now a Beast Whisperer for the Sliver player, so this might just be a 5-colour elf deck then. We've seen 2 elves so far and no slivers. Dodging the bolt again, and we draw into an elf of our own in Arbor Elf. So at the moment we can tap down for an Icy Manalith, untap it, tap the commander down again for another one, and then leave it tapped maybe? Yeah, let's go for the Arbor Elf here. And then we'll just create some more mana by untapping with the 1000-Year Elixir, and we'll just hold up that mana. We can leave our commander tapped because I don't think there's really anything that we're all that worried about at the moment. Another commander coming down, and it is Paco Arcane Retriever. And then swinging in towards us with a 5/5 with haste. It has a couple of plus counters on it. They have exiled a Lightning Greaves, a Verduran Enchantress, a land, and from us they took a Verdant Sun's Avatar. I think we just chump block here. You never know when the commander damage is going to be relevant on a big hasty creature like that. Then during the Naya player's turn they make a token with Reach the Redeemed. And then the Wurberg player is just holding up mana over there with 5 cards left in hand. Now we could go for the Apex Devastator this turn. And we win the flip with Mana Crypt. Wouldn't we rather just keep cards in hand though? Noxious Revival, we could always put the Apex Devastator back into our hand, assuming someone wipes the board. Yeah, I think we're just going for Svella at the end of someone's turn here. That is 8 mana tap. Look at the top 4 cards, cast a spell without paying the mana cost, the rest go on the bottom. Yeah, I think we'll just go for that here. Not sure if there's any top deck manipulation in this deck, like with Sensei's Top or Scroll Rack or anything like that. That might be an idea if it's not in here already. Sol Ring from the partner player in Teamer colours. And then a Growth Spiral draw and play an additional land. They do have Maze of Ith in play, by the way, not sure how long that's been there. Now let's see if the Paco comes in at us or not. If it does, I might activate the Svella in response, or Svella, whatever it's called. This time going in towards what we think is the elf player. And off the top they got World at War, a mountain, another land in Crowsome Verge, and they took Skyclave Relic from us. Don't mind seeing the back of that, wouldn't have minded casting it either though. The damage just being taken by the Wooburg player. Then they cast Valakut Awakening, any number of cards from their hand on the bottom of their library and draw that many plus 1. 5 cards in hand at the moment, so they'll go up to 6. Doesn't look like there's going to be a board wipe anytime soon then. Tana the Bloodsower coming into play now. And then at the end of their turn, Enlightened Tutor being played by the Sliver Overlord. A Scavenger Grounds is in play now, so we'll have to be wary of that if we want to go for Noxious Revival onto something. A Cryptolith Rite. So now they could go for their commander if they wanted to. And it looks like that's what they're going for. They'll draw a card with the Beast Whisperer. Yeah, going for the Sliver Overlord. Alright, so now we can go for activating our commander. We get to look at the top cards, and from that, we can cast a spell without paying the mana costs. I think it just has to be Parallel Lives there. We'll get double the number of Icy Manoliths. Might be time to go for the Apex Devastator, get this game moving. And of course, now we've cleared those 4 cards off the top, we get into Nyxbloom Ancient. If we get down the Nyxbloom Ancient, we'll have 6 mana left over. So we could make some more Icy Manoliths at that point, and we're still keeping good cards in our hand. If we make some more Icy Manoliths, then we'll be able to go for a decent second harvest. I think I'm going to go for that. So now our permanents will tap for... Oh, actually it's triple mana, isn't it? Not double, so... we've actually got 9 mana available, so we could still go for the activation here. Yeah. I think we're just passing through the turn again. Might even be worth going for second harvest in that case. Yeah, we can go second harvest, get the Icy Manoliths into play. They don't come in tapped or anything, do they? No, they don't come into play tapped, so we'll get, instead of 3 tokens, we'll get 6. Each of them will tap for 3 mana. So that's 18 mana from the Icy Manoliths alone. And that's probably a good idea. Now the Paco is a 9/9. So we'll see where it goes in. It's coming back in towards us. Risky play with the Svella held up. They exile some stuff again. Now it is Miscast. A Gold Vein Pick. A Sky Shroud Elf. And they take our Valakut Awakening. Let's go for second harvest here. So we get a bunch of Icy Manoliths, and then we can activate our commander. Look at the top 4 cards and play a spell, hoping for a big creature of some kind. Wow, being really unlucky. We can chump with a Llanowar Elves at least. Well, we'll spin the wheel again. And now it is... Well, there's Return of the Wild Speaker. We'll probably just go for that, to be honest, because... Yeah, filling up our hand with some cards might be alright. Yeah, Rhyme Tender would be good, because we can do our activations on our commander more times. So I think I'd rather just take the card draw. And the Teamer player is paused there. So it looks like they're going for Arcane Denial. We can get that back with the Noxious Revival, which I'll probably do before this player's turn so that they can't exile the graveyards. So in all of that, we got a chump blocker at least. Let's chump their commander. Haldan Avid Arcanist, the second commander for this player coming out now. And you can play lands and cast non-creature spells from amongst the cards exiled. They have 2 mana held up, so they could get Lightning Greaves or something like that. Oh, actually 3. 3 mana held up. So going for our Valakut Awakening. And they are back at 6 cards in hand. Now during the upkeep we'll draw a couple of cards here, thanks to the Arcane Denial. Alright, there's a Brutalizer Exarch, which we can use to get rid of a creature, I think. Put a it's a non-creature permanent on the bottom of its owner's library. Not sure if there's anything we really want to go for with that at the moment. Anyway, the treasure map being activated, that turns into the treasure cove that taps for mana. Tap, sacrifice a treasure to draw a card. An Avenger of Zendikar, okay. They've only got 6 lands, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And now a Noxious Revival going on to the Valakut Awakening for the Teamer player. They seem to really like that card. But yeah, 6 lands over here, so it's not the worst Avenger of Zendikar we've ever seen, but we'll still get hit for 6 by the impact tremors from the plants alone. And it'll be 7 with Avenger of Zendikar. So maybe going for the Brutalizer Exarch onto this thing would be a good idea. Okay, now then, is the Sliver player going to tap down 3 of their lands in order to exile the graveyards? Even if they do, it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to hold up mana and try and discourage them from swinging in at us. We do have 6 mana held up on them at the moment. The Great Henge, some good permanents coming down here. Alright, it does seem as though there are some slivers in this deck then. Cloud Shredder Sliver, that is probably the best one you could go for. Flying and Haste. And I imagine they're probably still coming at us. I don't think I would have blocked their Sliver Overlord anyway. That does get a plus counter on it as well, thanks to the Henge. They are drawing cards from the Great Henge and the Beast Whisperer now. Then a Llanowar Elves to draw some more cards. Now searching for a Sliver card with the Sliver Overlord. And they will have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana if they want to tap down the Sliver Overlord. Alright, it's a Venom Sliver, so Sliver creatures you control have Death Touch. And they are up to 7 cards in hand now as well. Oh, that's another really good one. The Crystalline Sliver. Slivers you control have Shroud. I mean, we really want to be seeing a board wipe at this point anyway, but at least they tap down their commander in order to do that, because they could have hit someone for a big chunk. They have already tapped down their Graveyard Hate as well, so let's go for Noxious Revival onto the Return of the Wild Speaker. And that's the end of the turn. The Genesis Chamber was discarded by the Sliver player, so I'm guessing they might have gone for a means of making all of their creatures into slivers. There's a few means of doing that now. You can change the creature types of all of your creatures. Anyway, we win the flip to the Mana Crypt again. Drawing to the Return of the Wild Speaker. So we'll cast that now and draw 5 cards. Ooh, a bunch of lands off the top. I am confident that Billy Kills has built a really good deck here. I mean, look at all the mana and tokens and stuff we're generating. I think we're getting really unlucky straight off the top of our library here. Let's just go for the Apex Devastator. I was trying to keep cards in my hand, but if we're just going to keep drawing like this, then let's go for Apex Devastator. So we'll Cascade 4 times, and we'll dodge lands when we're doing this. First one is Possibility Storm. Billy Kill's fault, not mine. So we'll cast that without paying the mana cost. This will give our opponents a really hard time, but we can still cast the spells that we want to off the top with Svella. That is the idea with that. And the Sliver player just holding up priority here for some reason. Could be that they've got counter magic. They could generate blue with that, but deciding to let it down anyway. Then we get into Illusionist's Braces. And you copy the ability. That'll be really good on our commander, of course. So we'll cast that. It'll be really good on the Arbor Elf as well, actually. Might as well generate some free mana with that. Then Gilded Goose. I mean, that's not the best, but it's a chump blocker at least. Apparently we're going to need those this game. We'll create a couple of food tokens from it as well, thanks to the Parallel Lives. And then something big off the top, please. A Blasphemous Act. Are we going to regret not going for Blasphemous Act? I think we might, actually. I think we might go for that. So in that case, we'll put it on the stack. I am holding control here. For everyone watching at home, you are witness. I'm holding control to hold priority. Alright, and it has given me priority. Had a feeling it wasn't going to there. So we might as well tap that down for mana, untap it. We're going to lose our triple mana here, unfortunately. But let's make a couple of icy mountains, or manoliths, or whatever they're called. Icy manoliths. And then we'll just tap down a bunch of mana on these manoliths so that we can do stuff. During the next turn, I want to get our commander out again. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll leave some untapped. I just really don't like this board state, and I think they're going to be swinging in at us. I don't like the crystalline sliver and the big hasty flyer that can go straight over our heads, so might seem like a strange board wipe this, but I do stand by it. Vampiric Tutor might turn into a counterspell though. It turned into something irrelevant apparently. Alright, that might be the only instant that is in their deck because they didn't get anything off of that. And the Sliver player continuing to hold priority over there for some reason. They've only got 1 mana available to them. Alright, and there we go. All the creatures getting wiped. We still get the Apex Devastator, of course. And it looks like the Sliver player has decided to scoop there, which is a shame, but there you go. Let's get our commander back into play. We can still play cards from the command zone, so Possibility Storm isn't affected by that. I think we can get down a land at this point. And then let's put the braces on our commander. And we'll use the ability there and hope for some better luck this time. That will copy with the braces. So we get to look at the top 8 cards here. Okay, a Praetor's Council and an infinite hand size, I'll take that. Don't know how useful it's going to be with the Possibility Storm in play. And then we've got Savage Ventmore for even more mana. Garruk's Uprising for more card draw. Beast Within. Beast Within onto this might be a clever idea, but we've still got a decent amount of life. So let's just play the Savage Ventmore here. I want to start actually dealing some damage to my opponents. I don't know how many creatures and instants and things we've got in here. Let's roll the dice and see if we can get into a creature from the Arboreal Grazer. I see Seaborn Muse, that'll do. So in that case, why don't we untap our commander? I think next turn I'll play the Nyxbloom Ancient to put it in our library, and then I'll play some Dorks to try and get it out of our library. So we'll go for the activation again after untapping with the 1000 Year Elixir. We're going to untap everything with Seaborn Muse. There is Archetype of Endurance. I think we're taking that. That will protect our Seaborn Muse nicely. And then there is a mana doubler. And it's card draw as well. And we do have a scroll rack. Sarkhan's Unsealing is really nice. I think we'll go for the mana doubling just while we've got it, because we can really make use of that. We can't put the Nyxbloom Ancient back in our library now, can we? So we'll just leave it at that. I think that turn was quite productive. Going for an exploration. I mean, it's hard to not upgrade from that at this point in the game. They might get into some kind of mana doublet of their own. An Underworld Breach. That could be dangerous. Yeah, the Underworld Breach might actually be relevant here. They've only got until the end of the turn to do something with it though. They've got Noxious Revival. Yeah, I don't think they've really got anything in the graveyard. They could go for Arcane Denial. Now playing a Worldly Tutor. See what instant they get in replacement. Now going for a Worldly Tutor. Let's see what instant they get in response. They didn't do anything there, so I'm guessing they got into a counter or something. Yeah, it doesn't actually tell us in the log what they got into instead of the Worldly Tutor. They go for casting the Valakut Awakening. And again, it doesn't seem to be replaced by anything. And again, it didn't seem to be replaced by anything. I didn't say please has been revealed. I don't know if you reveal with this. No, it just says exile. Alright, and there's a bunch of exile going on there. Raven Form. I don't know what they cast there, actually. Yeah, they cast the Raven Form to try and get rid of the Illusionist Braces. Instead got Polymorph. Exile all creatures you control. Well, they don't control any, so that's fine. So the Possibility Storm doing us a world of good here. Yeah, that is what Possibility Storm will do. Our opponent decides to scoop to that. So before the end of the turn, we will activate our commander a few times. Again, the bracers will make a copy of that. Yeah, we don't really have anything there. Let's go for the wild growth onto... we'll put it on the dual land. And with that one, we've got Court of Bounty. So we will stay the Monarch until our next turn, I imagine. With this one, it is... if you're the Monarch, instead put a creature or land from hand to battlefield. I mean, that means that we can get Nyxbloom Ancient back online next turn. Untap our commander. And actually, let's try and go for Second Harvest here. I want that in the library so that we can potentially get it out with a different instant. Chaos Warp onto the Impact Tremors is fine. See if we can get them into a good permanent. We got them into Phyrexian Altar. That's a fine upgrade for me. Or downgrade as far as I'm concerned. Cast the Noxious Revival on the Chaos Warp to try and get that Second Harvest into play. Alright, so Worldly Tutor instead. So in order to pile on the damage, I'm just going to go Terror of the Peaks. And then we will activate our commander. We know one of the cards that we're getting here because we just put it on top. Oh, that's a shame, we lose out on the Thorn Mammoth, but we'll get Terror of the Peaks here. If our opponent is actually playing this out and they haven't just decided to F6, then we want to end it as soon as possible. Draw into the Blightsteel Colossus from the Mana Doubler. And there is the Second Harvest again. We've got the Rime Tender, I don't think we really need it. Let's go Second Harvest to make a bunch more mana. We'll get some more food tokens as well. And I think we're safe to leave it there at this point. Let's see if our opponent can do anything to us. They are going to need a board wipe. I think we saw the Heroic Intervention before, so we could go for an instant in order to try and get Heroic Intervention. Our opponent's still playing it out, so good for him. Trading the Rootborn Defences for another instant, and they get themselves an Arachnogenesis. If they'd known they were going to get into that, they could have saved themselves some damage next turn. Then they go for an enchantment in the form of a Saga. They didn't have another enchantment to roll into, apparently. And our opponent decides to scoop to that. That's fair enough. They did the right thing in playing it out. You never know. They might have been able to get into a board wipe there. Not with the enchantment or the instant, I wouldn't have thought. Probably should have cast a sorcery, but they've only got one card in hand, so I assume they didn't have one. But very admirable that they decided to play it out, even though that was so oppressive. That was a case of very little removal. We didn't see a single board wipe throughout the entire game, apart from our own Blasphemous Act, which might have looked a bit sketchy casting that, but I think that was what turned the tide for us, really. We didn't make a lot of land drops, but we did manage to make good use of the fast mana and our commander to make the Icy Manoliths, so missing the land drops didn't actually hurt us all that much there, thanks to not seeing any artifact removal. Yeah, a very impressive list as usual by Billy Kills. Big thank you to him for giving me the list to play with and for being a patron of the channel. Big thank you to Brandon Drennan for his mythic support on Patreon as well. You can follow the link in the description below in order to be a patron yourself. And with all that said, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more from the EDH channel. I'm Tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.